everyone, I'm Ruthann.
I'm Chris.
And together we are GeekChic Promotions. It is time for Nerd Rage.
That's right.
Pre-recorded.
Yeah,
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Cheers to you guys.
Alright, so...
I hope you had a wonderful week. We have had a few hours since our last Nerd Rage. But yeah, so for us, the Oscars was just a week ago. And...
we thought we'd talk about some stuff, man.
Yeah, some stuff.
Yeah. First of all, the Oscars themselves, just so everyone knows my stance on it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Is that I think it's gratuitous. I don't think it means anything. I don't think it has attachment to any kind of talent whatsoever. It's a popularity contest.
I feel like only on the technical side does it make sense.
Yes.
Like for special effects, makeup, like that sort of stuff. But I should have looked it up before we went on stream because we actually talked about this very thing before doing this subject. But there was a much older actor back in the day who won an Oscar, and he's like, no, like this is for acting, that doesn't work. Because like unless you played the same exact role with the same exact cast, all that kind of stuff, and made it a competition, like there's no like being the best actor. It's all about all of it. And I was like, yeah. I mean, the spectacle is good, and the dresses is always fun, and the red carpet interviews are the ones that I find the most entertaining.
Absolutely.
But
also, they're awkward and uncomfortable.
They're super awkward and uncomfortable, and like some of them, I love to see them that awkward. But
yeah, where it's like, you know, first of all, the interviewers never know what they're gonna say, and there's always like some awkward silences.
It's so great.
And
I just
some just dead air where they're like, okay, great, or they fill it up with some stupid question.
Anyways,
yeah, it's
like
kind of
deer in
amazing.
headlights.
Yeah.
It was cause is this the first or the second Oscars they did in a row without a host?
It's been a few, 2 or 3 years, something like that. I feel like that also makes it very boring, but it's just, I feel like this Oscars was playing it as safe as they could, because like after the nominations came out, I think they realized they made a lot of mistakes. So they were just like, all right, just don't have a host. They need to revamp everything from top to bottom, and they just won't, because everybody who has the power to do so
likes it the way it is.
Likes it the way it is.
Yeah.
So whatever. So anyway, so this is where we get to the point where, you know, we talk about who won and if we think they really deserved it, especially because it's the very first time that we have a comic book movie that's been nominated and won. Now, first of all, I'd like to say that I protest that there's absolutely no award for action movies, because they're technically the most difficult to make. Yeah. They cost the most money, and they're the things that people go to see.
Yeah, there's the thing that's keeping the industry going. Also, the thing is that there's not the best stunt. Like the fact that somebody won for playing a stuntman.
Yeah, the Brad Pitt, and then dedicated it to all the real stuntmen out there because he knew, which was nice.
Yeah, which was very nice.
Yeah. I agree with that. And also, do we think Brad Pitt really deserved to win that after literally sauntering on the screen playing himself and just being a bro through the whole thing? And
I loved the movie. I don't think I saw any other Best Supporting Actor movies. So
I honestly can't remember who was nominated.
That's the other thing about the Oscars.
Probably The Irishman.
It's 100%. You know? No, there was 2 from The Irishman. That's right.
Yeah. So it must have been either Robert De Niro or, you know,
it was
Al Pacino or something.
No, it was Al Pacino and anyways.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so
Ruthann here's the thing. Ruthann had never seen the Joker.
Okay. And it's not. I appreciate. Okay.
So
here's why.
We had discussed the Joker, by the way.
Yes.
Back in October when it first came out. Marcus and I did one on it. So if you care to look back, you can find.
And now I can finally go watch that because I didn't watch it for spoilers. I didn't know when I was going to watch the Joker. It's just.
Okay, you had preconceived notions about it.
I was kind of right about everything.
I was going to ask, do you feel like it was right?
I feel like everything I figured was right. Yeah, like that's basically what I was expecting. And it's one of those movies that like, I know is an excellent movie. I just didn't feel like I needed to see it. Like the same way that I know the movie Precious was probably an incredible movie with some incredibly like intense scenes and like good writing and excellent acting. I just didn't
Except that here's the thing about that is that you're in the business
of
comics and superheroes and everything, whereas Precious doesn't really fit into that.
Well, so that's why it made it difficult for me, right? It's because to me it had the walking into it, I was like, all right, this is just gonna be depressing and dark the whole time, like that feeling, and that's why I go to seek like comic book movies. That's why I get, because like I'm trying to get away from that.
See, I just thought like, and honestly, you can look back and see this. Like Joker was pretty good. It was.
I mean, no, it was a good movie. I'm not. Again, I'm saying it's and
I
great
was
performances.
Surprised though that it was up for an Oscar nomination.
Yeah, the
I
whole
didn't think
movie,
it was
best movie.
that good. Like and honestly, Joaquin Phoenix winning. I mean, as we were saying, like offline, like not online, but like he was definitely acting.
Yes,
he was
doing
acting,
a lot.
you know, and I feel like, well, if there's an award for most acting when you're acting,
yeah,
he should totally get it.
At the end of the day, that's kind of how I feel about a lot of Oscar movies and Oscar like performances. It is just so much. You're doing so much, and it's totally like the dream of an actor, because that's, you know, oh God, how much we want to play the craziest person in this and to really get into it, like all that kind of stuff. It's just, it's so wonderfully masturbatory, you know, and it's just, but I don't know if it's that entertaining to watch. Like, cause that's the feeling that I got from the people who were so obsessed with his performance were actors who wanted to play that, like would want to go that far. Do you know what I mean?
So like it like pushed the boundaries. So of like, so it was like a meaty role, I guess.
Yes.
It had a lot of depth to it. He had issues, he had problems, and there was stuff happening, and there was violence.
Mommy issues and this,
Yeah, so definitely like, is in terms of like a character to play, for sure probably desirable, which may have factored into that, I guess.
And I guess the other thing about the movie is it was exactly what I expected. Like there was no twists. It was fairly obvious to me the whole time that he was imagining everything between him and that chick until the very last scene when he broke into the house, basically. Like that, I was like, yeah, that's obvious. And I was like, yeah, the mom is crazy. He's not the son of Wayne, whatever. And I was just like, okay, like, I don't know.
See, the thing was, when you had originally said you didn't want to see it, is because you said you were afraid of feeling emotions over it.
I actually, so...
And I'm like...
Full disclosure, I couldn't watch it full on. I had to be doing emails and stuff. I couldn't be fully invested, because it did get too deep into those type of very dark, terrifying neuroses and that sort of thing that I can't... Like, that's just the kind of, like I said, it's the same thing. I am one of the few people who I do not like watching, like, real-life murder stories. I do not like watching stuff about serial killers and that sort of thing. Like, I know there's a lot of people that are fascinated by that and like, but why do they do it? And this, that, the other. I'm like,
that's me.
Nah.
I will 100%. We just finished watching that.
And a lot of the people that I know are like that.
Documentaries, sign me out. I listen to my favorite murder podcast with Leslie every Thursday when they release their new one. It is awesome.
Yeah, I
find it fascinating. So
that's not my cup of tea. And the other thing is that because somebody was asking me like, oh, you must not be a Joker fan, and I was like, okay, how do we define what a Joker fan is? Because like I think Joker is an excellent villain, and I really like Joker.
He's the best villain.
But I'm not a fanatic for him.
Does he need his own?
And like, yeah, exactly. For me, and it's not that I've read. Batman is not one of the ones that I went very deep on, and I watched all the movies and TV shows, but didn't get too deep into the comic books. From what I felt from the comic books and all that kind of stuff that I read, it was better to have the Joker just be a mystery, his past just be a mystery, where he came from, who he is.
But also,
like that was part of the mystique of it. I
think what they're doing though also is they're just doing the thing that comic books do, which is like, oh, we're gonna have a Jared Leto Joker, we're gonna have a Jack
story
Nicholson
untold,
Joker, we're gonna have, and now we're gonna have a Joaquin Phoenix Joker origins. They all have different origins, like whatever. And so basically they're just making it into like, there's so many different versions of what we could tell. Whereas with Batman, it's like his parents are killed in an alley, and this is who he becomes.
Like
there's no like
the only difference so far that in the movie Joker is that the reason that his parents are killed is by one of like Joker's sycophants. Like, I don't know. So at the end of the day, it's hard for me to watch like really intense stories like this because I understand that
do you think
a lot of human experiences. God, no. I think it's perfect for what it is. I just don't like movies that are solely based and focused and harrowing to a terrible person. And like nearly everybody in the movie was a terrible person.
Well, yeah, and there's also the fact that I think they were trying to make him a sympathetic figure, which nobody wanted, because you don't want to feel sympathetic towards the Joker.
I don't want to feel like that's a problem that we have right now in the U.S., that we're like these incels and these white dudes that think they should be just able to have everything, and like when women turn them down, get super angry and like just right away as soon as he meets that chick and starts stalking her, and I was like, I'm just so uncomfortable. And like, yes, it is very real, like, and it, all stories and life experiences should be told. And to me, I guess the only takeaway that I could take from it, of it, why it needed to be an important story to be told, because it shows that no matter how soft and comfy, you know, the rich get, there will always be like the equal amount of people that have been held down and will like will rise up.
I definitely don't need to see it a second time.
Yeah, that's the thing too, right? Because there are so many movies that are like, they're so good and so important, and I could watch them once, or I could just not watch them and know that they're like, I know it's all, but I don't have to sit with this. And it actually brought me back to something that my dad told me a long time ago when I was in college. I mean, 5 years ago. But that I was getting really frustrated because, you know, I was an actress, and I was very frustrated with Broadway because everything was just bigger and brighter musical theater. And I was like, well, that's not the point of art. Like, it needs to be, like, it shouldn't just be for the spectacle and the more dances and the brighter lights and all that kind of stuff. It's supposed to be about something. And my dad was like, well, no, those are entertainment. Those aren't art. Like, entertainment, you should watch it, is to watch it to feel better and just more complacent and just feel, you know, feel good about stuff. And art, you should actually feel worse after watching art. That it should change the way you think and see about something, so that it should make it, like, after you watch it, you should feel like,
I think art.
I never saw that way before.
I feel like art just needs to evoke emotion, whether that's feeling terrible or feeling great or crying and being happy or sad. I think like that's what art does. It evokes a response from you. Entertainment is entertainment.
It's popcorn, yeah.
It's not just popcorn. It's like entertainment is anything that takes you away from reality.
Yeah, so you could be entertained by art.
Sure.
But
you can't really define things like that, to be honest. It's just, it's interesting to think about, but you can go philosophical on that crap, like,
for days.
Business. But, okay, so we definitely didn't think Joaquin Phoenix should be winning for Best Actor. I love Brad Pitt, by the way, and I loved that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm glad he won, because he's an awesome dude. I just don't know if it deserved.
Well, that's the other thing about Oscars too, is just like, well, he hasn't won one for a while.
Yeah.
Just give him
one. It's the same thing with Renee Zellweger.
Yeah, that was really, I was very thrown off.
By the way, her speech and Joaquin Phoenix's speech, ugh. Like, you know what? Go up there and thank the people that helped you make the movie, that helped you win the award. This is like for entertainment. Do not get on a soapbox and preach to the rest of the world who doesn't care what you think about politics or anything else or causes. Like, they think that they have this platform.
Yeah.
But they don't. They don't have a platform, because anyone that they would be reaching out to convince is dismissing it and being like, go book yourself, you're just an actor. You know? So it's like, don't even try. Just like...
To me, okay, so here's where I agree and disagree, because I feel like people... You know, if they're passionate about something and that's the only way that they can get it out there, and yes, they do have a voice, so it is their responsibility.
Who do you know who would listen to Joaquin Phoenix and be like, you know what, he changed my mind on global warming?
I don't know many like sycophant fans.
No one. Same with Renee Zellweger.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
you know what? Though, like, to be fair,
that's a good point.
There's a lot of very easily manipulated people in this country.
I mean, I guess.
There's a reason we have the president we do.
I mean, I guess that's true. That's kind of sad, too.
But just putting that out there. But the thing is that I will always agree with it. I'm not going to listen to these actors because, like, some of the points they make are absolutely true. But it's very hard to listen to, like, a multimillionaire like their cushy homes and they're this and they're that, and it's like,
or it's like we're not going to buy any new.
They can't even go to the grocery store. Do you know what I mean? Like they're like,
we're not going to shop for a year now so that we can protest like global warming. And I'm like, oh, okay, good for you.
Good for you that you.
Good for you.
Could afford to buy like
thanks for
quality
making
stuff
that
at less
choice. A lot of people like don't go shopping for a year because they don't have the money.
Yeah.
It's just like, I just hate it all.
All right.
Anyway,
we're raging on it.
Okay, so Best Picture.
So I did not have a chance to watch
Best
Parasite.
Screenplay, Best Picture.
I have been wanting to watch Parasite.
Yeah.
Now, here's what's funny is because we were talking about this, so I had two theories just from the title alone and the little like kind of stuff that I saw. The first, as soon as I saw the name Parasite, I assumed it was a horror movie. And then my second feeling is it's like a kind of suspense, like The Room situation or something like that, of like some sort of like mind messing like suspense movie about this family. Like I don't know. That's what I have.
Neither one of those things true.
All right.
So it is a movie about a poor Korean family who is just scraping by. They're folding pizza boxes to make a living. You know, and it's their whole family. So there's a mother, father, a brother, and a sister. And the brother's or son, whatever, his friend goes out of town and says, you know what, feel for you. Why don't I recommend you to take my place as a tutor for English with this really rich family that I know. And you can just make some extra cash while I'm studying abroad. And so he does recommend him, and so this guy, he basically fakes a college degree and stuff like that. He knows how to speak English, so it's fine. And he goes, and while there, the mother happens to mention that she's looking for an art teacher for her son who's been through some trauma and is drawing like kind of some disturbing art. And he was like, oh, you know, I know this very prominent art therapist, and he like makes up this story like, I don't know if she's available, I think she lives in the States, but like let me see. And it's the sister. And she fakes it, and she gets a job there. Then the sister like plants some evidence in the car and gets like the driver fired, and she was like, oh, I happen to know someone, and they hire the father who fakes it he's a driver. And so then, of course, after that, they get rid of the housekeeper, and the mother gets in. So basically, it's this whole
family is the parasite.
Yes, but that's not it. Because once they get in there and they're living this great life, the housekeeper that got fired, who's been there since before the family, like she was kind of like inherited with the house, like comes back and knocks on the door. And it's like, oh, I forgot something in the basement. And they find out that there's an entire bunker underneath the house, and that this woman's husband has been living there because he was in debt to loan sharks. And so he's been hiding out down there to get away from the loan sharks. And so they find out that this whole entire family has like been conning, and they're like, we're going to tell this family that you're conning them unless you let us stay here and continue to do what we're doing. And of course, I'm not going to spoil the ending.
Yeah.
But it all escalates. Like it escalates to like an extreme level. And it's a good movie, and I enjoyed it, but I think it won because it was different. It's an original movie. It's not a reboot. It's not rehashed. Yeah. It's like it makes you think. It's like super like what's going to happen next kind of a thing, where you're just like, how is this going to resolve? Like, what is this going to end up in? It's got a couple twists and turns where you're like, oh, damn, like that, you know, kind of a thing. It's not scary at all. It's just a drama.
It's just intense.
It's just a drama. It's not even it's not even intense. It's just this family's really good at conning, and you're like, oh, are they gonna get discovered? Like, no, they don't.
So I didn't watch a lot of the Best Picture nominees. Did you? How many of them did you see?
Oh yeah, we saw The Irishman. We saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Was the other like 1917, right?
Yeah, we have not seen 1917. So, which I'm assuming deserves all the accolades it got because of the whole one-shot thing that they did, which was for real. They didn't just make it look like that. They actually did do it.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I think that's about it. But like all in all, I think.
So do you feel like one of those, since you've seen the ones that you've saw, do you think any of those should have beat Parasite, or are you happy with Parasite?
Well, I'm happy with Parasite winning, but what I think happened is that they brought in this movie Parasite and overcorrected on everything and were like, diversity! Give them all of the awards! And that's what happened. And I'm not saying he didn't deserve it, because it's a good movie and it's very well shot. And the characters are wonderful and they're developed and they deserve it. I just don't think that's the reason they got it.
Yeah, I do. There was so much of it that was that. Honestly, that winning and their speeches was the most heartwarming part of the Oscars for me, because like they brought the entire cast and crew.
They did,
and they could be like, they're like, hey, like we're just excited to be here.
Yeah.
And then they ended up partying in Koreatown, which is right near where I live, until 5 a.m. And I was like, yes, you did.
Yeah.
As you should.
I think
well
it's
done.
amazing that they won, and I'm incredibly happy for all of them. It was definitely a good movie. But you know how, like, and this is the problem with the Oscars, when you have a lack of really good movies that are out, they're like kind of scraping the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when I say scraping the barrel, they're still good movies.
Yeah.
I just mean, like, kind of metaphorically, that like if you're gonna put this kind of a movie up against The Irishman, which by the way was started 10 years ago, when the actors were supposed to be aged up, and instead they ended up having to de-age them because it took so long for everybody's schedules to meet up. That's like old school crap right there. And yes, they deserve awards for the technology that they used, but good Lord, we could have cut an hour out of that movie and it would have been fine. You know? And I'm just like, that was boring, guys. Like, there was some, So yeah, when I look at it, I'm like, all right, you're taking Scorsese because he's Scorsese. You're taking, you know, Todd Phillips, and you're taking like all these people who you're like, oh, you know what? They're notable. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, but here you got something new and different that's going to upset the apple cart, and so of course, like,
go for that.
Yeah, they're going to go for that. So.
Speaking of people that maybe are too old to be too old for this shit.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2 months, Indiana Jones 5 is starting filming.
Yeah. So
I have to give Marcus props for this incredible line.
You say one, I'll say the other.
Okay. That he's gonna go to find himself in a crypt.
Or that he's the one that belongs in a museum.
Hey!
So, here's the thing. Have you seen the posters for Call of the Wild?
No.
Okay, so there's these billboards around for Harrison Ford's newest movie, which is in theaters right now, called Call of the Wild. We all know what that's about, right? Just old dude. He literally, in the trailer, is just so old and grumpy. You're just, you know, it's just... All right. Indiana Jones. Now, here's my thing. I'm like, maybe he's passing the torch. Because, you know, they tried to do a Shia LaBeouf and it didn't work because no one liked Shia. Whatever the case is.
I feel like he doesn't want to pass the torch either.
Right? And I'm just like,
By the way, yeah, Shia.
He's not passing the torch, by the way, apparently. This is a brand new one. They made it clear in, like, the press releases that this movie is being made. This is not a reboot. It's not an offshoot. This is a number 5 sequel.
I have no idea where they're going to go with it. There was a lot of things I was hoping.
Not that old actors shouldn't be acting in Hollywood, but it's an action movie, guys. He's going to break his bones.
I'm just, again?
I'm just concerned.
I'm concerned. I had hopes for Indiana Jones and the Crystal.
I know you like to bring that up because you hate it so much.
I hate it so much. But here's the thing, and I'm curious what they're going to do in this one, because one of the things that it seemed like they were hinting towards in that movie, and then totally veered off in a terrible direction. More Nazis. You think? But this in the timeline, we should be more focused on the Red Scare, and they kind of did at the very beginning of Crystal Skull, where they brought him in and they were basically asking him questions, interviewing him to find out if he was a commie. But it'd be interesting if instead of finding an artifact, it's him finding proof or doing something to clear his name or something like that, just to have it a twist. Because that's where I thought that movie was going until it did not.
I don't know, but I think it would be foolish to go off of anything that had to do with the Crystal Skull. I feel like they should just continue on, make no mention of it.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. Is it'd be interesting if they did something like that. I don't know.
I'm curious. I'm not gonna lie. For all I know, this trailer is gonna come out and it's gonna blow my mind. Okay, because I'm excited love Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Like if I had to pick, like in my top 10, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom would be in there, right? It honestly would, because I love it so much. But I don't know if it should be revisited. I'll be honest.
I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things that I also love, Indiana Jones, and it's like, if Harrison Ford wants to do it,
is this like, I mean, I can't understand why they would make this decision either.
Honestly, I could see him wanting to do it as like, I just wanted one more good one. Like, let me go out.
But there's so much time between that last one and this one. So why? Like, why?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's just one of those weird things.
I don't know.
But, you know, speaking of, you know, sequels that no one's really asking for but are being made.
Matrix number 4
started filming.
I feel like the only reason this is being made is because both of them have had a resurgence. Both Neo and, well, oh wait, she won't be in this one because she's... No, wait, she is in this one.
Is she? Carrie...
Yeah.
What's her name?
What's her name? Who was also on Daredevil.
Yes. Her name was Carrie something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so I definitely don't mind Keanu being in anything because he still looks amazing. And he's like John Wick, and so we know he can still do action. So I'm like totally fine with that. However, Matrix was never supposed to be a trilogy.
I love the first one so much.
The second one is garbage, and they try to like. Yeah, the third one's not so bad, but the second one is garbage because they weren't expecting to make a second one. By the third one, they got back on track, but now there's a number 4, and now I have to wonder, number 1, why, and number 2, like, where are they going with this?
I don't know. Honestly, I think producers saw the huge resurgence.
Is there going to be a 4, 5, and 6? Is there like that's what concerns me. That's
if they make money, I mean, like what we said last week's show, movies are not to entertain us, they're to make money at the end of the day. So, I don't know.
Well, movies are costing a lot of money these days, and I feel like what needs to happen is that there's got to be some bubble that gets burst where, you know, it either goes right to like Netflix or something because it's cheaper. And people are, you know...
Honestly, I think Disney
streaming
Plus
services are so huge.
Is the top of the bubble. I think with Disney Plus and everything after Disney just bought up Fox, and it has the Marvel franchise and the Pixar franchise and
well, according to like the
Star Wars franchise
industry, though, I mean, streaming services are gobbling up stuff like crazy, crazy, and so everybody is going to streaming services. So where does that leave the big blockbusters that cost a lot of freaking money to make when the streaming ones don't?
Well, they're going to keep getting bigger and bigger and have more flash and whatever so that people will go.
Except that no one's going to see them though because it's all these reboots and stuff like that, and you're looking.
Well, so I feel like it's basically sequels between quels, reboots, all that kind of stuff. To me, that's a desperate Hollywood trying to be like, oh, if you like this, right? Like, gold on movies. And we're like, that's a lot of money for me to leave the house.
Though, that goes back to Parasite winning for everything. Because it's not a reboot, a sequel, or a prequel.
I mean, maybe that's another
betweenquel,
good reason to give a movie like that an Oscar.
I mean, of course, now this next year, we're going to have the Christopher Nolan movie that's coming out. Right. So... with, you know, what's his name, Denzel Washington's son. Yeah. So, I mean, which looks good. It looks good. I mean, every time I see the trailer, I'm like, yeah, that's going to be awesome. But, like, Christopher Nolan's, like, the only one that seems to be able to get a big budget original movie made. That's not, like, part of the MCU or something, you know?
Because, like you said, everything costs too much money, so these producers and everything need that reassurance. Right. That's why they cast Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell. That's why they, you know, all that kind of stuff is because they need to put butts in those seats.
I love the way there's, like, jokes about that, where they're like, you know, I don't know, I can't remember. But you know what I'm talking about, the Scarlett Johansson memes?
The ones about the new Black Widow movie, you mean, and Johanna Sana?
I did not see those.
Oh my god, they're amazing.
But that is amazing.
It's amazing because, like, basically the internet, like, all these people were like, oh, finally, it's like the Asian Black Panther with my favorite, there's so many different versions of her name. We're like, Scarlett Johansson or something, whatever.
That's pretty great.
It was pretty great.
So good.
But
anyway, well, I think that's all the time we have, though.
Oh, yeah.
We're out.
We're out. We'll be back. As you know, we're headed into the craziest of con season, so we'll have to figure out our schedules and lock down. But when we're not live, we'll be doing stuff like this.
April's when my first con is.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm pretty good. So.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that it's not the first weekend of April; it's the second week of April for WonderCon, right?
It's Easter weekend. It is the.
Oh, it's Easter weekend. Yeah.
It's 10th through the 12th. So. Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be our first con together.
Already got the hotel rooms. We're all at the Hilton. Yep.
Party at the Hilton bar. All right, guys. Thank you again for joining. Keep on nerd raging, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.